The Galactic Engineering Symposium aboard Nexus Prime had been running for 3 standard days, and Chief Engineer Korvac of the Titan Collective was growing increasingly impatient. The massive crystalline being shifted his bulk within his reinforced environmental pod, creating harmonics of annoyance that translated poorly through the universal language matrix. Primitive welding techniques, he rumbled to his aide, watching the holographic display showing human construction methods. Crude metallurgy. Their fusion reactors are adequate, I suppose, but hardly revolutionary. Around them, representatives from 47 spacefaring civilizations observed the technical presentations with varying degrees of interest. The Sekthari had already presented their biomechanical engineering marvels, living ships that grew rather than being built. The Synthetic Collective had demonstrated their quantum computational construction matrices that could assemble molecular structures with atomic precision. And then there were the humans. Dr. Amanda Chen, no relation to the Admiral, who had orchestrated the Zephyrian annihilation 18 months earlier, stood at the presentation podium with an almost embarrassing lack of advanced equipment. Her demonstration materials consisted of basic metal samples, primitive computing devices, and what appeared to be hand tools that wouldn't have been out of place in a museum. The fundamental flaw in human engineering, observed Dr. Yithpal of the Academician Union, is multiple optical sensors focusing on the crude display, is their reliance on brute force solutions rather than elegant efficiency. The comment drew approving harmonics from several species. It was a commonly held belief throughout the galaxy that humans, while surprisingly effective in warfare, lacked the sophisticated understanding of physics and materials science that characterized true engineering excellence. Dr. Chen seemed oblivious to the dismissive attitude surrounding her. She activated her presentation with a simple gesture, and the holographic display showed a schematic that made several delegates exchange glances of confusion. "What you're looking at," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the amphitheater, "is the technical readout from our response to the Kepler 438 incident 3 months ago." The schematic showed a star system in crisis, a Class G yellow dwarf, undergoing premature solar expansion, threatening to sterilize 4 inhabited worlds containing over 2 billion sentient beings. The rescue timeline showed an impossible requirement: complete planetary evacuation within 6 standard days before the stellar expansion reached the habitable zone. The Crorian Collective offered their finest transport vessels, Dr. Chen continued. The Flux Confederation provided their most advanced habitat modules. The Synthetic Collective calculated optimal evacuation logistics. Combined, all galactic resources could relocate approximately 40% of the threatened population within the available timeframe. Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. The Kepler 438 incident had been the galaxy's most shameful failure, a disaster where advanced civilizations had stood helpless while billions faced inevitable death. The final death toll had been catastrophic, and the political aftermath had nearly dissolved the Galactic Council. However, Dr. Chen said, her voice taking on a different tone, humanity proposed an alternative solution. The holographic display shifted, showing the impossible, a massive engineering project taking shape around the dying star itself. What appeared to be a skeletal framework was being constructed at stellar proximity, somehow surviving temperatures that should have vaporized any known material. "Impossible," Chief Engineer Korvac stated flatly. "No material can withstand direct stellar plasma exposure. The thermal dynamics alone." "You're absolutely correct," Dr. Chen interrupted with a slight smile. "No known material could survive those conditions. So we made our own." The display zoomed in, revealing the construction process in detail. Human vessels, looking impossibly small against the stellar backdrop, were deploying what appeared to be a metallic web directly into the star's corona. But as the delegates watched, They realized the metal wasn't simply surviving the extreme conditions, it was somehow thriving in them. Programmable matter, Dr. Chen explained, engineered at the molecular level to convert thermal energy into structural stability. The hotter it gets, the stronger it becomes. We call it Phoenix steel. Dr. Youth Pol's sensors whirred frantically as he attempted to process the implications, the energy requirements for molecular programming on that scale, the computational power needed to maintain structural integrity in a plasma environment. Would be impossible using traditional methods, Dr. Chen agreed. Which is why we didn't use traditional methods. The holographic display pulled back, revealing the full scope of the human project. The Phoenix steel framework had formed a massive ring around the dying star. But this wasn't just a construction platform. It was a stellar engineering project on a scale that defied comprehension. We built a stellar compression array, Dr. Chen announced casually, as if discussing the weather. The ring generates a controlled gravitational field that compresses the star's expansion back to stable parameters. Not only did we save the four worlds, we extended the star's lifespan by approximately 2 million years. The chamber erupted in chaos. Chief Engineer Korvac's harmonic emissions reached frequencies that caused several species' translation matrices to overload. The Sekthari delegates' bioluminescent displays flickered in patterns that suggested complete cognitive breakdown. The computational requirements began the synthetic collective representative. Were handled by conscripting every human neural implant in the sector, Dr. Chen replied. 14 million people volunteered their brain processing power for the 72 hours required to maintain the gravitational calculations. The implications were staggering. Humans had not only solved an impossible engineering problem, they had done so by treating their own minds as computational resources, a level of integration between organic intelligence and technological capability that no other species had ever achieved. The construction time alone, stammered Dr. Yith Paul, the logistics of building in a stellar environment, was accomplished using our new rapid assembly protocols. We don't build things sequentially anymore. Dr. Chen gestured, and the display showed the construction process in real time. We assemble components in parallel dimensions using modified quantum tunneling, then collapse them into real space once the structure is complete. Total construction time, 18 hours. Chief Engineer Korvac's massive form had gone completely still. For his species, engineering was the highest art form, a sacred pursuit that defined their civilization's worth. What he was witnessing wasn't just advanced technology, it was a fundamental redefinition of what engineering could accomplish. How? He finally managed. Dr. Chen's smile widened. We stopped thinking about engineering as building things and started thinking about it as convincing reality to work the way we want it to. She began packing her primitive-looking equipment with the same methodical precision that had characterized human actions throughout their brief galactic presence. The presentation files will be made available to all delegates. We hope you find them educational. As she walked toward the exit, the profound silence in her wake spoke volumes. 47 civilizations grappled with the realization that they had fundamentally misunderstood their newest neighbors. Humans didn't just solve problems. They rewrite the laws of physics to make problems irrelevant. The short video of Dr. Chen's presentation would be studied by alien engineers for generations, not as a technical manual, but as evidence that some species don't just adapt to the universe, to the map.